Hello there, this is Jeff Erdman, E.D.S. Inc., Shandon, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're starting our program, our video this day out in Shell Creek Road, just a little bit south west of Shandon, and showing you some of the bloom of the flowers out here. And so we'll have intermingle some of this throughout the video. We're going to see the door stops and how we completed those, and we'll see some of the beauty of this country as well out here this time of year. Hello there, this is Jeff Erdman, E.D.S. Inc., Shandon, and we're still working on the prison door stops. Now, you saw me already in another video making the rubber stops. Unfortunately, I made a bad mistake. I had copied a previous sample that was made, and instead of reading the drawings, and that sample wasn't the right thickness. It was 1/2 inch, and the drawings show it as 3/4. So we're going to have to remake all those stops. So we'll be doing that this morning. So that's what we'll be watching. So what I first do is I bring my part out to where it's far enough out to work on. And I don't really try to tram this in so much. What I do is measure each side so it's the same from the jaw. So if I keep all those sides even, and that kind of squares everything up. I tighten down the jaws a little bit, try again, check all the sides, make sure they're even. And then I'll tighten the jaws down. And that gets me close enough for what we're doing here. And being rubber, this thing's not perfectly round anyway. So that's all we can do. Now, you've seen this quick change. I'll take this forward a little bit. So this is the rack that we use. Just a little bit closer even. This is the rack we use for a quick change. So first I have to mark this for my the recess that's going to be in the center of it. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to first get that dimension because I've changed my calipers since the last time I did this. So I'm going to have to go find out what the dimension is from the edge to the edge of that cut on the inside. And I'll set that up on my caliper and bring that back, and then we'll mark this, and that'll give us a spot to line up with the lathe bit. I'll bring you back when we get there. So I've got this set up so it's got just the right distance between these 2 points, and I'll use this to scribe my part. So let me go ahead and we'll pull this back and we'll turn on the lathe and we'll mark this part. Okay. On this first one, I'll bring you around and I'll show you that mark. So you can see how this is marked in the center, and that's for that cutout that we're going to do in the center with our router. And we just use a straight bit. It's a straight 1/2 inch router bit that's used actually for rubber. It's designed for that. It does a pretty nice little cutout on that. So I'll bring you back as soon as we get that set up. So what I do is I bring the bit up to the part and up to that line. Before I start the router or the deal or the lathe, not deal, and see how the I'll bring you in closer here. You can see when I touch off, since this is plastic, having my tool touch it isn't going to hurt the tool bit whatsoever. It's not going to dull it, it's not going to harm it. So I can actually take that all the way up to it, and I just keep working it up to it until it starts to turn that bit. You can see it slowly, barely starting to turn it there. Okay, see that? See how it's turning the bit? Well, that's my 0. So now what I'll do is I'll set up a dial indicator and on the back side of the router, and that will give me the depth that I need to go in. So I'll bring you back as soon as I get the dial indicator. I didn't bring that over yet, so I'll go fetch that and bring it over, and then we'll show you what we're doing next. Okay, as you can see, I've got my dial indicator up against the back of the router. So as this router feeds this direction, or towards the piece, it'll tell me how far I've gone. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go 0.450. So basically that thing has to spin 4.5 times around to make the depth that I want in my part here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll set you back up on the stand, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to make our cut. This is what we made. So we'll take these parts on over. The rest of them, it's just rinse and repeat, and we'll be done. So now you've seen the process that it takes, how I come up with the dimensions to cut these things. And we got a few more to do. We'll get those done. Then we'll bring you over to where we're going to be actually applying these to the back plates. Now these are the prison stops that we have built here in the shop. Piper, we're all ready to start wrapping and putting them together. This is all TIG welded together and drilled. This is a stainless steel quarter 20 security screw head. Let's see if you can get that. And all stainless and primed, ready to go as per spec. And we get all of them wrapped up once we're and packaged and marked and sent out. This is our little downtown Shandon right here. This is what we got. Right here is our post office. That's our Korean grocery store. And right across there, right there, is our Spanish grocery store. And that's the extent of commerce in downtown Shandon. When we swing around here, this is the old Methodist church, and as you can see, there's a for sale sign out in front of it. They decided that they're going to put it up for sale. They only had a few parishioners that were coming here, and so that's selling for $500,000 if somebody wants to come out and buy a church. So, but this is pretty much all of Shandon down here. That's the down at that end is where the park is, which is a very, very nice park. We have a beautiful park here in Shandon with a swimming pool. There's also a tennis court and what have you down the basketball, football field, volleyball field, whatever, barbecue pits, the whole 9 yards. And across the street from that on the left is the high school. We'll take you by that as we swing back by here. I first have to pick up my mail. And this is our Shandon Park here. It's a little community building, and it spreads out for quite a ways. It goes another 200-300 yards back that way. Barbecue pits, playgrounds, pool, whole works. It's a real nice little facility. Flagpole is in front of the high school, and this is the high school administration building. And the beginning of the you go in through that door, and it's an open center area and classrooms all the way around. And then this over here is the old gym, home of the Outlaws. That's the insignia of the Shandon High School. And in that gym, many a basketball game was played. And my children were both in drama, and they used the basketball court as the theater floor, and they had a stage up there on this side, on the right side of the gym, and that's where they would have the plays. And maybe Zach will put in a clip of one of his plays or something.
I'm not really a Brewster. I'm the son of a seacook. That
you can see he was really good as an actor. Of course, I'm a father, so of course I brag about my kids. But the school's so small, the graduating class, I can't remember Zach's. It was like 15 or 16. I think my daughter's was 13 who graduated. So very small school. There's quite a few years that they didn't have enough young fellas to form a football team. They always got a basketball team, but football is another thing. So that's kind of a look of Shandon, and that's about all there is to it. Although I do want to show you one little building down here, and I'll stop and show you that in a few. This is just down the road from from the high school, same street, and this is the elementary school. So you go from here into the high school, and then you go off to junior college or whatever. So, and that's you get a full rounded education here in Shandon. Okay, this is the old Cal Ranch building. Now this is where we used to get all our hardware or whatever we wanted here. It shut down about, during the recession. And the lady maintained the property. But now, what's of interest in this little building, and we're not going to go in today. I might go in and interview him another time. But I haven't asked permission yet to do so, so I'm not going to go in there with the camera. But he's got the largest lathe in town. This young fella started as a mechanic out at Parkfield, which is another little community out here, even smaller than Shandon. And he got enough business going to where he needed to have a building, and this building was sitting empty for several years. They allowed him to lease it, and now he's developed, he's kind of like a fabricator. He's got some shears, he's got some brakes, he's got a lathe. He'll do machine work, he'll do mechanical work, whatever he can do to keep busy. And he uses this facility here. So he's got a nice office down at this end, and then the rest of it is all shop, a real nice large shop. He's got a plasma cutter, a CNC plasma cutter out back, and does a pretty good job. Fixes farm equipment and whatever he can find to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down some of the roads that of Shandon that I grew up around. This is just straight down this road. Let's see if I can get this tilted right so you can see. Just down the end of this road, the last building on it is where my great uncle built his house. In fact, there's two houses down here that my uncles had. They had all this property back here. This house straight in front of us was his, and the acreage between here and the next block was all his, and my other uncle's. And so this house was built back in the early 70s. And on the left-hand side is my other uncle's house. He built back in the late 60s. And now we're going to be headed out to what's called Shell Creek Road. And it's a place where there should be quite a flower bloom. And we'll take a look at that. Wanted to stop here and show you this little valley right here. The San Juan River runs right down through here, and about 10 miles down this valley that was formed by the San Juan River, which is a below ground river. It doesn't flow above ground. I'll show you a little bit more about that a little bit later, but about 10 miles further down the road that runs down through this valley, the San Juan Shandon Road, dead ends. It stops, and that's where my grandfather's ranch was. There are farm roads that run all the way through Highway 58, but the main road is shut down at where my grandfather's ranch began. He had 27,000 acres before he sold the ranch back in the 90s. So, but he farmed basically barley and cattle, a little bit of alfalfa here and there, but that was it. And he built that up from the all on his own. He had nothing when he was young, and his father was not able to give him any inheritance, and which he didn't give us one either. He was kind of that way. He left most of his money to his son and to his faith. So all of us, we have to start like he did, which there's nothing wrong with that. But he gave me a good work ethic anyway. You got a big old hawk up there. Let's see if I can scan on him up there. There he is. Here comes another one. Let's see what happens. Is he coming down the same spot? Yep. There he goes. The other fella took his place. I don't know what's there that they have to fight over that. Anyway, that's funny. Okay. We'll get on down the road. I wanted to show you this here because this really shows you the poppies here, but they haven't bloomed, or they're not open. Let's put it that way. They've bloomed, but they're all wrapped up right now, and it's because there's no sun. If the sun was out, all these would be unraveled, and it would be very brilliant right here. It's still colorful, but it's nothing like it would be if there was some sun out. I wanted to show you this. You can see the hills on this side, and you can span all the way over to the other side of the valley. And you can see the hills forming up on that side. The fog has covered them. But there is no, you don't see any river flowing through this valley, and it was made by water flow. This valley was. This flat area is all from massive floods in past times, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. But there is water flowing here all the way through this valley. In fact, so much so that these farmers out here can actually irrigate this valley. Oh, here's some lupins right here. And it's very productive for a little narrow valley. And I'm going to show you up here on the Shell Creek Road where this actually, the water actually flows, and you can see where it goes underground. Okay, out here, you see some color in that field. Most of that is fireweed, and if you go out in shorts in that, your legs will be itching the rest of the day. It was funny, I saw some photographers out here thinking it was wonderful to see that stuff. I hate it. Growing up with it, as to me, it's just a weed. But yeah, it looks pretty, the orange does, but you don't want to be next to it. It's just miserable. So anyway, I saw a bunch of folks out here taking pictures of it. I'm thinking, doggone, I wouldn't be out in that stuff. So you can see the color starting to show. Now you can see the dry riverbed. There's not a spot of water right here. And just up to where you see those trees right there, this is maybe 200 yards or so. There's water there, and it just goes right underground in the sand. So you can see from there on down this dry riverbed right here. That's the last of the water right there. It's just barely trickling here and there. Well, as it take you up the river, you'll see that it's running. It's not a really fast running river, but you'll see that there's a lot more water than what you see right here. Because what happens, all this water is absorbed. This is a real sandy base here, and it goes down for hundreds of feet. Just real sand and gravel, and that water just soaks right down into that, and it forms an aquifer down there. So we're heading up into the hills where the flowers are. I'll take you around a little bit and show you some of those as well. So we're out at Shell Creek. We're going to show you some of our flowers that we have out here this time of year. Shell Creek is renowned for this. When I was a kid, nobody knew about it. And we come out here, we'd be all alone. Now, on the weekends, this last Saturday, there was probably 10,000 people that came out here from all around the county to look at the wildflowers. It's pretty spectacular. We got quite a bloom going. And it's not, you can't see the total beauty of it because different flowers bloom at different times. So we have baby blue eyes will bloom at one time, and sometimes the I don't know what these little orange flowers are. They're like daisies or something. They'll bloom at another time. But you can see all the way up on the top of that hill. You got flowers blooming up there too. Down in the fields down here. All the way around. Just really beautiful scenery out here. And it does it every year for the most part. Some years aren't as good as others. And we see some cattle up against the hill there. They're just on the other side of that creek I was telling you about. Trees are all down in the creek bed. Oh, pretty country. Another spattering of color here. Kind of pretty. Another week or two, this is going to start drying up and the green will go away. It doesn't last too long. Now you can see there's quite a bit more water here. Quite a bit more water down here, huh? All that just disappears into the ground. And even if it's running fast, it disappears into the ground. I've seen it almost this wide all the way up and down the riverbed or creek bed, and flowing really fast down through here, and it just disappears into the sand back there. Anyway, I wanted to show you that color. The difference in with the lupins and the light yellows and the oranges, just a real pretty view. I want to show off these pretty little things. They have no they have these long stems and these type of leaves down at the base, but they come up on long stems with a flower, a group of flowers at the top. And they're very pretty. You don't get a whole lot of them together, but you see them scattered in amongst the other flowers. This area is just thick with lupins here. This little berm or hillside. You can hear all the birds in the background. It's really a tranquil and beautiful place to visit, especially when there's no people here. Don't come on the weekend. There was literally, I drove through here on Saturday on my way to the shop, and there were literally 10,000 people out here. They were traipsing everywhere. Fortunately, I didn't see a whole lot of trash. Usually with that many people, you see a lot of trash laying around. You saw a little bit, but not too bad. So they must have been real nature lovers. You can see the mix of colors. It's a little bit disappointing. I wish we didn't have the cloud cover, because what you would see is you would see also the real brilliance of California poppies in this field. They're out there, but they're just not opened up. You can see a little bit of it in the back, very little, because they're overwhelmed by the other colors right now, because they're all closed up. But when you see those out there too, you see this really brilliant orange, and this field is just magnificent. And sometimes you'll have a lot of blue from lupins out here, and then you'll have the poppies, and then this carpet of yellow, and it is just spectacular. But unfortunately, not today. I wanted to show you something else up here, right up there. That's where this valley river gets its name, because up on that ridge right there are thousands upon thousands of shells. It's just caked with them. Clam shells, oysters, sand dollars, all sorts of stuff. Maybe my son can include a clip of one of our expeditions up there in this video, if he feels like looking it up. So, but we'll show you all the way around here. This right down here is a stop sign, and that hits Highway 58, which also takes you out to Carissa Plains. Now that's another area. I don't have the time to take you out there. It'd be another 30-minute drive. But that's carpeted with flowers right now. Even more so than here, I believe, or was. It might have dried by now. So everything east of here is pretty much dried up and turned brown. Very pretty. Well, that's our tour of Shell Creek Road. One of my earliest memories took place right by this tree. I was about 4 years old, and my dad was plowing this field. He was on an old D6 with the plow behind him. I was up there on the seat with him. I was about 4 years old. And right up here, you can see right up there in the crotch of that hill, there was an old mine. It is since caved in. But two men came out of that. He came down, talked to my dad while I was sitting on the tractor. Couldn't hear what they were saying. But I remember being so curious about that. What were those two men doing coming out of that old mine shaft? And I can't remember what my dad told me, but that's one of my earliest memories. I was probably about 4 years old. Well, this is Jeff, E.D.S. Inc., Shandon, and I want to thank you for joining us on this video. We've got a little bit of everything in here. Trip to the wildflowers, and you get to see the conclusion of our stops. I'm going to try to encourage Zach to throw in some footage also of the lathe cutting wood with the router system that we set up. I got a little clip of that in here. We'll try to include that. We're all done with our stops except for this one. Got one stop here that is incomplete because we lost the rubber on it. I was down to my very last piece, and it got caught up in the router, shot across the shop. I looked for hours for that one little part, and we finally found it clean across the shop all the way back in the corner. And so had to order some new rubber. $60.94 I think it was for the shortest piece of rubber I could get. It's a special product that was designated for its strength and durability for the use that it's going to take, because it will be abused. You can take this stuff, I got a little disc here of it. You can take this stuff and you can beat it with a hammer. And you can't dent it. It's pretty durable stuff. And so at any rate, a $60 mistake. Because that little puck, when we finally found it back in the corner of the shop, had a slit in it where the router had caught it and thrown it clean across the shop. So anyway, needless to say, we're not quite done with our prison stop job. We've got one piece of rubber we have to mill once the rubber comes in, and that won't be shipping until today, or no, it's next next Friday it's shipping from McMaster Car. So they apparently didn't have it in stock. They probably had to order it in. So it won't be shipping until next Friday. So it'll be another week before we can finish that project, and then we'll finally be complete with this little job. In the meantime, we've got a little bit going on here in the shop that I'd like to show you. We've rearranged everything. So here in the shop, we've rearranged everything. I know through this it looks like a mess, but we used to have our Hendy lathe right here where we have our Bridgeport lathe now. And we moved it back over here. We kind of made a lathe station over on this area here. So our Monarch will be here, our Hendy will be here. All our grinding stuff will be up here real soon. So we started digging down into the concrete. We're going to dig down about 2 feet there, put a pilaster so that it'll hold that upper loft. We got one down in that corner over on that side of my milling machine by that other upright post. There's another hole down there, and so we're hoping to pour that the first of the week. Piper will be putting in the plates that we'll put our pilasters onto, or uprights, and then we'll start building the trusses that will span this space, and all our grinders will go up above. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, I'll give you my ugly face. In conclusion, I want to thank you for watching E.D.S. Inc. and ask that you continue watching, and let me know if you like the content. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down too. I don't care. That's your expression, that's your opinion, and that's fine. I'm doing this just for the fun of it. And I do enjoy doing some machine work. Sure beats paperwork any day of the week. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hope to see you again.